Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my recovery. This is your wonderful, beautiful host, Million. One of these days, I'll get that right and say it better than saying the same thing over and over again about wonderful, beautiful. But you get what I'm saying. Got to help with self-esteem, right? um, I know I went over the story before. I don't know if I have or not, but I'm going over it anyways. I'm gonna say it again because I still have these type of things. I have these dreams, and I've um, been sober for a while now, so it's just and all the paperwork that I get from my therapist, my therapist. That sounds so redneck there, or what? My therapist. That when I read it, it just don't make no sense to me. So I'm gonna read it to you here in a second. But first, I'm gonna tell you the reason why I know that. I mean, our brain is really working against us during recovery, and it's because I was in jail one time, and I was clean in jail for like 26 days. I think it was like on day 26 or day 27, something like that. Pretty sure it was 26. And I was clean enough to where I was feeling good every day, and I wasn't happy to be in jail. That was fine. And one night when after the cells were closed and everything, doors were closed, and it was time for bed. I laid in there in my cell, went to sleep, and I woke up. I don't know what time it was when I woke up because I couldn't see the clock. But I was in sleep for maybe 3 or 4 hours. And the dream I had was such a vivid dream. It was it's the most vivid dream I've ever had in my life. And the reason for that is that in the dream I got some drugs, bought some drugs, and I started using them in a dream. And usually when you have drug dreams, usually it's something dealing with maybe like you going to buy them, or you get to the point to where you're using them and you don't usually use it. You know what I mean? You don't go all the way through with it. It's usually the same thing. It's like when you have those dreams when you're where you're falling and before you hit the ground, you'll wake up, right? And it's the same thing with drug dreams. Usually, for me, they're all like this, except this one time, that one time then, and I used it that time. And in the dream, I could feel the effects of the drug and everything hitting me. And I woke up. And when I woke up, I was high. I mean, I was high. I mean, it was as if like the first day I ever done drugs. this drug, I was so high. I mean, it was incredible, and it sucked really bad because it was a stimulant, and at the time, and I was in jail. So I mean, I was bouncing off the walls for like 2 hours after that. I mean, it was incredible, and it blew my mind. It really it floored me how I was clean this entire time, and yeah, I would have dreams about drugs, but nothing that crazy and vivid in my entire time being there. Into my entire life, it still has never happened again. I mean, that's how crazy it was. Never happened again. But that day, that night, reminded me and showed me, I should say, showed me how powerful and that our brain can be and work against us during our recovery process. Like it can literally, I mean, make you feel the effects of the drug that you want, and you not even be anywhere near it at all. Like not even see it or nothing. So I mean, it's unbelievable. And people don't understand that stuff. I mean, they think this stuff is just simple. Just put it down and you're off it. And it's nothing like that at all. Not even close. Even on medicine, it's nothing like that at all. So today, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about drug dreams, and because even as far as long as I am in my recovery so far, I still have drug dreams. Almost every night, I still have dream about drugs. But they probably have a different meaning than what they would for people that are early in a recovery, or even midway through recovery, if you want to call it that. By early recovery, I say somewhere it's like anywhere from like 0 to 6 weeks, right? During this time, drug dreams are usually they usually where you're using drugs to begin with. It usually interferes with your normal sleeping patterns. So when you stop using, you experience frequent, intense dreams during your early recovery. So I mean, they can seem real and frightening. That's what I'm saying. I mean, they're very vivid. But you also know during this time that it's definitely part of the normal process of going recovery, right? So, um, you're not responsible for your drug use anyways in your dream, period. It don't matter what part of your recovery is, you're not responsible for that. It's a dream. And they say that regular exercise will help your dream patterns as well. It'll help your dream activity, lessen the drug part of it. Really, any activity, really doing different stuff throughout the day, period. It doesn't really have to be exercise. The more activities you do, the more likely you're going to have a dream about doing that activity, right? So, um, just know that. Just know that in the beginning, you're going to have them all the time. It's going to be every day. And it's going to be almost every time you sleep because you spent all these years and that's the only thing you've cared about is drugs, right? So you're going to have your every time you sleep, you're going to have these dreams. And that's going to be about for the first month and a half. So, and then when you're going to enter probably what they call like your middle recovery, which is like week 7 through 16. And for most people, then dreams they're less frequent during that phase of recovery. When they do occur, however, can leave powerful feelings well into the following day. It's important to be careful to avoid relapse on days upon like a powerful dream activity, right? So because you're going to have the want whenever you have these dreams. You're going to want drugs. You're going to want these drugs real bad. And you don't want to relapse because of just having a dream. Often dreams during this period are about choosing to use or not to use. And they can indicate how you feel about those choices as well. Okay, so if you are having dreams where you choose not to use, right? That means that you feel good about having that choice. It's like you're okay with making that choice during those times. If you're choosing to use instead, okay, then it means you're still having some sort of internal conflict. Usually, it means you have some sort of internal conflict that you're not okay with saying no when the times arises. So it usually means you're still having that internal battle, and you're still not comfortable with saying the word no. And which I say this all the time, but I have videos on that, so make sure you look at those. They'll help you out. I mean, because saying the word no is tough for an addict. Also, vivid dreams. I mean, like I said earlier, vivid dreams, they don't just go away. You're going to remember these well into that day. Like I said, I still remember that dream. I still remember everything about that dream that I had. I mean, it was so vivid, and I remember the effect of waking up and being super high. I mean, and I mean, it was so vivid that when I woke up, I still remember a cloud of smoke coming out of my breath. I mean, like, because where I took a hit off of something and did the normal, routine for taking a hit. And when I breathed out, that's when I woke up, is when I breathed out. And when I woke up, I remember breathing out and seeing smoke coming out of my mouth. And a lot of smoke. I mean, it was a lot of smoke. And I was like, whoa, 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 you know what I mean? And so, like I said, I still remember that, and it still has an effect on me to this day. And that happened, gosh, I mean, what, 9 years ago or something. So, it still affects me, and I mean, you have to be careful about that. So, I mean, when I remember back on that time, I remember it as it scaring me. Okay, I don't remember it as, oh man, I had this awesome dream, that I got super high from. I don't remember it like that. Okay, I remember it as it being scary, like, because that's terrifying to me that I didn't even use a drug, but yet I still felt the effects from it. That's how bad my mind was gone. You know what I mean? At that time, it was so gone in drug use that even without the drug, I was still high. You see what I'm saying? I could still get high from it, and just from having a dream about it. And that is unbelievably scary to me because, I mean, if you can do it for drugs, you can do it for anything, right? I mean, you hear about people doing and doing these violent acts, and then them having some sort of excuse about it, or them not believing that it even happened, or them not even remembering that it happened, right? And that's because of trauma, right? I mean, they had this trauma in their brain that's causing this to either them to, unconsciously forget that it happened, or just block it out that it happened, or that they remember it, but they're obviously saying, they're not, because it's affected them so much. These things that they did or that they've been a part of, and I mean, it's messed up their brain. I mean, it's messed them up. It's messed them up psychologically, right? And so that's scary. I mean, that's scary. That's scary that I've been through so much drug use that that my dreams can affect me that much. I mean, so when I look back on it, that's how I look back on it. Okay, I don't want to remember it as a way, another way for me to get high, because that's what you're going to want to look at it. I mean, because when it happened to me that day, that's the way I was thinking. I was like, man, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, if I could tap into that power somehow, right? Because that's just how normal addicts think. Like, I was like, man, if I could tap in that power, I could be high all day, every day, and never have to buy a thing, right? Which is, the dumbest way of thinking it. But that's the way you're going to think about it. You see what I'm saying? And it's going to make you want to relapse. It's going to make you want to go out and get drugs, because you're going to have the same down effects and the same withdrawals over again. Like, I had withdrawals over again because of this dream. Especially because the type of drug I did, you feel the withdrawals and the effects right after you go out. Right after you run out of this drug, you're going to have the effects immediately. I'm not saying the drug, but anybody that's done this drug, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, you feel the effects, the down effects immediately. Almost 15 minutes, 30 minutes after you have no more of this drug, you'll start feeling the bad effects of withdrawal from it. So yeah, I mean, you have to be vigilant when you have these dreams during this period of your time of recovery, because it's going to make your brain's still not straight. It's not screwed on right. So you're going to be thinking of it in an addict way, and you're going to be like, man, that was such a cool dream, and that was such an amazing dream, and I wish I had that dream every night. And you don't really, what I mean? Really, you shouldn't be thinking that. Really, you should be thinking like, whoa, that's terrifying that I had this dream and that it affected me that way, because I mean, this is how much drug use that I've done that it can affect me in my sleep. You know what I mean? Like, that's scary. I mean, if you're a normal person, that would be scary, right? So you gotta think that way, and it's tough to wrap your head around that. But that's the way you should be thinking of it. Luckily, I was in jail, and there was no way in the world I could ever get drugs at that point in time, and while I was in jail, so it was easy for me to cope with it. Um, but I'm gonna go over some coping strategies here in a minute, and so we'll get on those on how to actually take care of yourself when you do have these dreams. But you have to, it starts with that first step of remembering it. When you remember it, you have to know that you having those dreams it's a normal thing for it to happen, but when you shouldn't be thinking of it as a reason for relapse. It should be the opposite. It should remind you not to relapse. You see what I'm saying? Like, it should remind you that through all this drug use in your life, that it's caused you to have these dreams every single time you go to sleep, and that's bad. That's not a good thing at all. That that all this time you spent is not been on drugs, because I mean that's the reason why you're having these dreams every day. It's because that's all you do. That's all you think about. That's all your whole life revolves around is drugs. So now, when I say something like late recovery, we're going to get back on subject here. When I get back, when I talk about drug dreams, and I talk about in your late recovery, if I ever bring it up during this video, what the late recovery period I'm talking about is around 17 to 24 weeks is what they usually say. That's what the papers I go by, that's what they talk about. But it could, to me, late recovery is from 17 weeks on. Like, because middle recovery is 7 to 16 weeks. You're still feeling really the psychological effects, and sometimes still physical effects of drug use, of withdrawals. During your 7 and 16 weeks. It's not as bad as detoxing, where you're sick every single day for that's usually the first few days, like the first week or so. Sometimes it can actually go. I've seen it happen up to a month where people actually get sick, and usually not from opiates and stuff. That stuff is usually from the medicine you take to get off of opiates, which is funny enough. Usually methadone will last about up to 28 days or so when you still be really sick to your stomach, and you'll still be shaking real bad, and it'll really affect you physically a lot. Suboxone will usually doesn't even kick in until like 3 or 4 days after you stop taking it. You won't feel good, but you won't feel sick. You see what I'm saying? Until like day two or something from not taking it. For me personally, this is how it affects me. Everybody's different, so you have to go how your body reacts when you do these things, and whenever you go without them, that's when your withdrawal symptoms will start for you. But for me, it was usually about 48 hours, somewhere around there, 36, 48 hours after I would take my last dose of Suboxone, and I would start getting feeling sick. It just like I'd go through opiate withdrawals, and it would last like opiate withdrawals. It would last up to about a week or so, and I'd be having fevers and shivers and sick to my stomach, and just have no energy at all. And mood swings would be through the roof, right? Just normal detox stuff. And I also have a video on detoxing as well. And to go to, some of the stuff I know that will help you and in detoxing. And I also go through some of the stuff they say in that video as well. So, but 17 to 7 to 16 weeks, you're still feeling some of the effects of drug use and with your withdrawals, but it's more subsided. Then it's not in your face like detoxing is. So, but you're still feeling the effects. Then people think like well, I go to rehab and I'm there 28 days, and once I get out of rehab, I should be feeling completely normal. No, that ain't the way it works, man. That's not how your body recovers from this stuff. It's a long process. You don't feel bad. You see what I'm saying? But you don't feel like you don't feel completely normal either. You're gonna be jittery. You're gonna be feeling out of place. You know what I mean? It's not gonna the world's not gonna feel right to you, and it's gonna take some time for your body to get used to being clean again. So your late recovery would be somewhere around 17 weeks and on. Okay. Dreaming during this period it's important because um, it can be really helpful in warning a person in recovery. Because sudden dreaming, like if you dream about other stuff and then all of a sudden you're dreaming about drug use or alcohol use, right? Um, that should be a clear message to you that there's a problem, that there may be a problem, and that you're more vulnerable to relapse than usual during just late recovery. Okay, so it's important to review your situation and correct any problems that you discover whenever you have these dreams. I mean, this should show you, remind you, like, hey, I need to check my P's and Q's, right? I need to dot my I's and cross my T's again, and make sure that I go through my routine, make sure I'm not drifting towards relapse, right? Um, Now, when you have when these dreams become intense enough and they're troubling for you, okay, there's several things that you can do to cope with them. You can try exercising more throughout the day. The more you exercise, obviously, the more tired you're going to be when you go to sleep. The more tired you are, usually the better dreams you have. You know what I mean? Usually, sometimes you don't even have a dream. Sometimes you don't even remember a dream at all, right? So, the more tired you are, the better you sleep. That's just the way your body works. So, more exercise you give yourself during the day, the more tired you're going to be. Also, you can also go to a 12-step meeting. You can lean heavily on your support system, your friends, your family that are still with you while you're dealing with recovery, right? While you're still in this time of need, the support system you do have, you need to talk to them. I mean, it's going to be, when you first talk to them about dreams, you feel weird, right? I mean, you're going to feel stupid. It's going to feel cringy, which is the new word for it now. You're going to feel stupid. It's going to feel like you shouldn't be talking about this stuff at all. But you really need to get it out. You really need to tell people about this dream, and because when you say this stuff out loud, and I mentioned this before, it makes it real. You see what I'm saying? It makes it like you feel the effects better. You see what I'm saying? When you say this stuff to somebody and you tell them about the dream, like when I told you about that dream, it reminded me everything about the dream. It reminded me exactly what I felt at the time. It reminded me, you know, the way I should feel about it now. I mean, I went through the whole process with you when I told you about that dream. So that's exactly when you tell people about, you talk to your friends and or your counselor or your therapist, whatever. You talk to them, or your sponsor at 12 Step. When you talk to these people and you tell them about these dreams, it's going to get it off your chest. It's going to make you feel better, and you're going to hear the response. They're going to probably come back and tell you something you probably ain't thought about. You know what I mean? Maybe this is the reason why you're having this dream. Maybe you're having this dream because of what you did yesterday. You know what I mean? Or something like that. They're going to come back with some response that maybe you ain't thought of. So it's good to talk to them about it. And another thing is maybe it's time you need to take a break from your normal routine, right? Maybe you need to change things up. I mean, if your normal routine is giving you these dreams, especially during late recovery, something's not right, right? So you need to maybe change your normal routine and step out of the box a little bit, shake things up, right? And see what you go from there. Now that's everything that when my therapist send me papers, they do this online stuff, and I'm gonna show you the paper, right? This is stuff that they'll give it to you in therapy groups and group meetings and stuff like that at therapy, and that tells you everything what I just went over. um, what I do want to tell you though, your coping, there's some of the other coping strategies you got to remember is that these dreams can occur at any time during the recovery. You could be 20 years clean to this day and still have a dream as if like you were using that day. Okay. and it could be just as vivid as if you were using that day. So you have to remember that it's still normal. You spent a lot of your life chasing drugs, and when you were in these addiction habits, right? All you was thinking about was drugs. So like, it's okay to have dreams even during your recovery. It's normal. Okay, it's normal to have these dreams. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't check up on your routine. You shouldn't check yourself. I mean, you definitely want to check yourself when you have them if you're in that late recovery period. So that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you're still going to have them. Is what I'm saying. You're going to have them every now and then. But if you're having them, if it's bothering you when you have them, you definitely need to check yourself. I check myself anyways if it was that late. Whenever you wake up in these dreams, okay, um, you're going to wake up and you're going to, sometimes you're not going to be sure or not if you actually used. And it's a reality. You're going to have to go through a reality check. So whenever you wake up, you're going to have to say, you're going to take a deep breath in, breathe in, try to calm down from the dream. Okay. And then check yourself. I mean, you know what I mean? Look at yourself. Look at your body. Look at the way you're acting. Check yourself. And get yourself in reality. You see what I'm saying? Get yourself out of that dream state, because you're going to still feel wishy-washy, right? You're going to feel off, and you're going to think you're still in the dream. So you're going to have to like get yourself in reality and say, okay, well, now I'm back in the real world here, right? So the worst fear is that the dream is prophetic, right? Like it's a prophecy. You know what I mean? Like this is going to happen to you in the future. So remember, that's the worst fear that you're going to fear from this, is that this is this might happen to you in the future, and so you need to take the steps to make sure that that's not possible. That's not going to happen. So that's the fear you're going to fear from the most. And so I'm telling you this because you can be ready for it, right? So you can get ready for that fear. In the early stage, you usually have these dreams because of um, the what's it the ambi the ambulance is how you said it, whatever, and the self doubt, right? Um, so you're gonna be doubting whether or not you're doing the right choice, or whether or not you can even succeed in recovery, and you're gonna have these dreams because of in the early stages. So and you need to be ready for that, And in the middle stage, it's often due to fears about relapse. Is there something moving me toward relapse? That is the fears you're going to have during the middle of your recovery. You're going to have, is me going with so and so, is that going to cause me relapse? Is me visiting my old workplace, is that going to cause me relapse? Me driving down the hauler I used to drive down, is that going to cause me relapse? Those fears are going to manifest themselves in dreams. So you need to be aware of that as well. Um, in the later stages, they're often stimulated by unresolved issues or being overwhelmed with feelings in general. If you're going through a lot of crap in your life, your dreams are going to be rough, right? I mean, if you're going through a nightmare life, you're going to have nightmares all the time in your dreams. That's just the way your psyche works. It's how it deals with it, and it's how it tells you that you're being overwhelmed by these things. They're gonna showcase in your dreams. And so I want to make sure you all knew that, because I want you to know these things when you have these dreams, that this is probably the reason why. So those are the reason why. Those are the ones things I really wanted to go over with you. Is that just make sure that you know that your dreams aren't you, and that it's okay to have drug dreams at any stage of recovery. It's perfectly normal. Just remember that. And I think that's it for today. Hope you have a wonderful day.